Thank you very much. And welcome to Old Trafford.
What a day.
I've actually put me I've put me City colours on to balance it out.
What a day you've had.
Well, yeah, but you see, you get used to it because I've been down this road so many times. And what has happened today is so indicative of where we are, where we live in this world of extraordinary inversion. My perception of reality is that we are a state of awareness, a state of being aware. And we call ourselves black, white, Muslims, Christians, Jewish, and Hindus, and Asians, and black South Africans. As if that's who we are. It's not. It's what we are experiencing. It's what our point of awareness is experiencing. And from that perspective, irony of ironies, I see self-identification with race as a nonsense. Self-identification with even experience as a nonsense. We are the awareness that is having the experience. So a Jewish person and a Muslim person and a Christian person and an atheist person are just points of attention within the same awareness, having a different experience. Thus, my philosophy, whether people accept it or not, that's their choice, is the ultimate non-racist way of looking at the world. Because we're all one consciousness, having different experiences, and everything else is detail, illusion, and fault lines to divide and rule us. Now, from my perspective of reality, which is the ultimate non-racial way of looking at the world, I am called a racist by those who are absolutely consumed by race and an obsession with race and an obsession with their perception of reality. We have reached the point in this downward spiral into insanity where that which is deeply, fundamentally racist and has a racist perspective on everything accuses someone who says we're all one consciousness and race is a illusion, a racist. That's the level of madness and insanity to which we have descended. And but today has emphasized something else, and that is the incessant war on freedom of speech that we are now experiencing. And when you reach the point when a Labour politician calls a football club to stop someone born in a council house in Leicester who can slightly remember when the Labour Party mentioned things like freedom, can call a football club to get them to, in utter contempt of the people here who were going to be there, the utter contempt for freedom of speech. And as a politician, a Labour politician, you can delete someone's ability to express their opinion. That is an extraordinary indictment of where politics has gone. But it's more than that. She is just Kate Green is just an expression of a phenomenon which we now are experiencing. A phenomenon where wherever you look, the freedom, the basic human freedom without which there is no freedom, the ability to speak your truth, speak your opinion, freely have discourse, we've reached the point where it's everywhere you look. And you cannot divorce what Kate Green did today and these children in the campaign against anti-Semitism who are obsessed with race, just like all their other attack dog organizations connected to Israel. You cannot divorce that from Google-owned YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, increasingly, even blatantly revealing that they are algorithmically deciding what people see and hear. This is a phenomenon, and it's a phenomenon for this reason. The key to everything is perception. From perception comes everything that people are and everything that people do. It decides what they'll support, what they won't support, what they'll challenge, what they won't challenge, what they will do and what they won't do. You control someone's perceptions and you've got them. Lock, stock, and the other thing. And people mold their perceptions from information received, from personal experience to the 10 o'clock news. That information received is the information source or sources from which people get their perceptions, which then dictate their behavior. And so if you want to control human perception, and if there's a few of you and you want to control a target population of 7.5 billion, you have got to do it by controlling their perceptions so they'll behave and see the world that suits your agenda for global human control. So you have to control the information they receive. And so from cradle to grave, in what I call the mainstream everything, people are receiving a version of reality from their parents who've been through the same process, from the so-called education system, from the institutions of state, from the media, from politicians. They're being given a version of reality with the range of possibility the size of a frickin' pea. And it's what I call the postage stamp consensus. Now, if you can keep people in that information stream, that narrow sense of the possible, that narrow sense of reality, then they are going to, from that perception, live their lives within that narrow band of reality. They're going to think they're powerless. They're going to think everything's limited, everything's I can't, everything is not possible. And when you think you're powerless, you give your power away to those you think you have power, so you give your power away to those who are actually directing the information that is forming the perceptions to get you to give your power away to them. Now, there's one way of challenging that, and that is alternative information, an alternative way of looking at the world and world events. So what we're seeing is on one hand, the incessant communication through the mainstream everything of a narrow band of possibility from which people get their perceptions, and the targeting and the war now against any information that is challenging that perception and saying, hey, actually, there's another way of looking at this. And so the internet is a incredible tool for human control, human surveillance, and human perceptual manipulation. Incredible tool. And let's not forget that DARPA, the technological development arm of the Pentagon, claims that they created the internet. But the internet had to be sold to us in a good way, otherwise we wouldn't have bought it. If they just told us the bad things and the real reason for it, we wouldn't have bought it. So they let the free flow of information go. And for a while it was great. because we did have free discourse, we did have the free flow of information, and something happened. As alternative information through the internet was able to be communicated, people started to change. People started to say, hey, there is another way of looking at the world. And what we're seeing now is the attempt to delete from the internet that which is getting people to look in another way at the world, and therefore leave behind only the good things on the internet from the manipulator's point of view, which is a wonderful vehicle for control, surveillance, and perceptual manipulation. I would just say this, to finish this point, that we can look at the Zionist hate groups, because they're hate groups. What they're trying to do is get people to hate their targets. So they're hate groups, and that's a very clear definition of what they are: inversion, accusing other people of hate. But they can only be successful in deleting freedom of speech if we have gutless people with no integrity who will take a booking for an event months and months and months ago, will communicate with my son and the office in Derby about it right up to the last 24 hours, will then cancel on the say-so of these hate groups and this pathetic MP, Kate Green, and will not even tell us that they've done it. We find out on social media when the hate groups are cheering, they've won. They haven't. And when my son goes to Old Trafford this morning to find out what the heck's going on, not only won't they speak to him, they have a security guard escort him off the premises. This is Manchester United, supposedly the biggest football club in the world. It's got the integrity of a pea. And yeah, a prize one, absolutely. And we are losing our freedom of speech, not because of these, or just because of these people that lie about you to discredit you, but by the gutless people who then think freedom of speech is so irrelevant and so unimportant that they can cancel an event on the day. And I've come across these venues we have all over the world and all over Europe, where it's the easiest thing to do to virtue signal and say we're not having him. No, and that's the other great thing. Oh, we never knew it was him. Come in. We never were told. They were told. They knew exactly what was coming. They were explained about the hotel, the Lowry, and they pulled, and they said, oh no, it's not a problem, and then they pull on the day. So they did absolutely know, the bloody liars. And I would hold up this man as a symbol of what we need if this freedom of speech is going to survive. I spoke in Canada in August, September, and they desperately tried, the hate group versions in Canada, to get my two events off in Vancouver and in Toronto. And the venues cancelled. But we found a Christian venue, funnily enough, in Toronto, who weren't going to pull, and they didn't, and it was fantastic. And then we went to Vancouver, and it was a city-owned venue, theatre. And the committee, it's a committee running it, decided to listen to this nonsense and pull it. And the mayor of Vancouver, a guy called Grigor Robertson, said, we ain't having it. We're going to have freedom of speech. This man is going to speak. and he overruled the theatre management, and I spoke in that theatre in Vancouver. That's the backbone that we need. But let's just take this one step further, into the land of true insanity. I have spoken all over the world since, for years and years and years, but in this period, from the summer of 2016, I've spoken in England, I've spoken in Australia, all across Australia, America, through the Balkans, Europe, Scandinavia. Not one single event has had one single problem. No one in any audience has accused me of anything but saying we need to love each other if we're going to sort this world of hatred out. And yet, today, in Britain, my home country, I can have an event pulled on the day for espousing hatred. It's absolutely extraordinary. So extraordinary. I mean, pinch me, ouch. Yes, it's true. And we really do need to stand up to this because so many, if we keep walking backwards and being intimidated into silence, if we keep going through this process of the most insidious, dangerous, destructive censorship of all, self-censorship, where there's no debate about whether something can happen or not, people just don't say it. And suddenly it's never said, and never spoken about, never discussed. This is what the intimidation is all about. And I tell you, I will leave this world still shouting out as loud as I can all the things that we shouldn't, according to the system, be saying. Because once we stop saying them, it's over.